Bandsaw, 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 and bandsaw. Somewhere under here. Now these things all have blades and you can buy them, but why not make them? Or at least assemble them. I always find that I'm breaking bandsaw blades, and while I do keep some in stock, not normally the one I need. So what I've done instead is started buying coils of bandsaw blades. That bandsaw has a bandsaw blade welder, which means you can take a long strip, join it back together with welding. Let me show you. Over here in the dark bit of the shop, oh, the dark bit, is this. It's a Startrite metal cutting bandsaw, 18T10, and I've got a bandsaw welder. This doesn't do anything. Let me show you how it works. This is the blade that's come off the small wood cutting bandsaw. Now you can see it's not meant to have this air gap in between. So what I'm going to do is weld it back together. I've actually already done this on a separate one that's not quite so blunt, but demonstration. The key to getting this to work is to first set all your settings based on the size of the blade, and then clamp it in those clamps at the bottom. For this demonstration though, we're going to have to cut it, and this is the cutter that comes on the side of the machine. The clamps at the bottom serve two purposes. Firstly, to transfer the welding current, but also to push the two halves of the blades together, as you can see here. Once they make contact, the current can flow between them and the blade is welded together. The problem being, you're left with a very brittle area. So to fix that, you anneal the blade, flicking the switch up to soften the steel ever so slightly and make it flexible. So we've gone from just a straight length of blade to full circle. Now the weld itself, wherever it is, here, you can see it's got a little nubbin, and that needs to be ground off before we stick it back on the saw. But as you can see from this, the annealing process has made it pretty flexible. Oh, I'm so glad that didn't break. There's two surfaces to grind here, using the top of the wheel to grind the inside of the blade and the bottom to grind the outside. The aim being to grind the blade back down to the same thickness all the way over. Most people probably don't go out and buy a bandsaw blade welder. Like me, they just have one attached to a saw that they bought. And in the end, it's a really useful tool that I'm glad I learned to use. It can only really be used with high carbon steel blades. This one's made by Startrite, these by Kennedy, and I got them with the saw when I bought it. Unfortunately, that means compared to some of the more modern alloys and carbide tip blades, they aren't quite as sharp. But because you can make them at home, it's easier and cheaper to keep a sharp, fresh blade, even if you do have to replace it just a little bit more often. And if you don't have a bandsaw blade welder, then maybe you should have watched one of my other videos. But I appreciate the hell out of you for watching this one anyway. See you on the next one.